Third-party risk management teams work with multiple departments and answer to several individuals. How does portfolio risk findings aid them in accurately communicating to the different stakeholders information relevant to their operations?
Yeah, I think the great thing about the portfolio risk finding feature is that it's essentially three features in one. We recognize that our members have a lot of use cases that they're trying to meet and a lot of audiences that they're trying to communicate the cybersecurity value of their team to. For example, if we have a compliance-driven team, they might come in here, select a compliance framework like PCI, and immediately see across their third-party portfolio which of their vendors or prospective vendors are meeting the requirements set by that compliance framework. And again, this is giving you visibility as to which third parties are meeting those requirements, whether they've delivered a self-attested assessment or whether you're relying on the predictive data in the absence of a self-attested assessment. Again, getting full opacity across your entire portfolio with no blind spots, and then being able to drill down into certain details around which control areas specifically are they gapped on, so that you can have more appropriate and constructive conversations with those vendors to ensure that you are having the most successful relationship with them moving forward. We know that some teams are compliance driven, whereas other teams might be more security or threat driven. So we also have frameworks like NIST, just shows you across a very universally accepted framework how your third parties are stack ranking against each other. And again, giving you that drill down ability into which control areas are they gapped, helping you have more constructive conversations with your vendors and helping you have a better understanding on which first-party activities might have the most significant impact on the risk posture across your third-party ecosystem, because we know that we cannot rely entirely on the actions of other people. You want to have a signal of what might make the most sense for your organization to do and why you're doing it. We know that these teams are often very overstretched, and so we want to make sure that whatever investment or resource allocation that you're making to these activities is going to have a significant impact, and we want to give you the visibility necessary to make those decisions as appropriate. The third scenario that somebody might be using this feature for is a threat profile selection. So in the wake of a specific event, like ransomware or hafnium, you can come in, select this threat profile, which you can be confident that CyberGRX is updating and maintaining as these events are unfolding and we're learning more about them, and get very specified information about your third parties, which ones are the riskiest based on their control coverage and what makes them susceptible to this specific event, as well as which control areas across your entire ecosystem is leaving you vulnerable based on the vendors that you're interacting with. In addition, we have some filters at the top of the menu that will let you further hone in on which third parties are implicated in this event and which of those third parties are going to have the biggest impact on your organization based on the relationship that you have with them and the capacity in which you're using that vendor.
Gary, with this level of confident data in hand, thanks to portfolio risk findings, what would be the next steps for a third-party risk management team?
When you onboard a third party, in most organizations, you receive a request from the stakeholder or the people in the line of business, and they'll typically fill out a request which identifies how they intend to use the service provider. Well, in CyberGRX platform, we also have what's called an impact questionnaire, and it's just 8 questions that allows the requester to identify the nature of the service provider and the type of interaction that they're going to have with your 8 cyber assets. That's access to the network, the facilities, the applications and data, and things to that effect. And so when you start to determine how much access they're going to have to those things, what you're doing is you're future-proofing your analysis for opportunities to remove that access if you identify deficiencies. That will establish what your options are and how much mitigation that you need to apply. So for example, if you're trying to address a HIPAA compliance type issue, and a third party has significant amounts of access to your sensitive data, then you're presented with a few different options. Number one, you can either require that the third party make changes to their control environment in order to further protect their custody of your data. Or number two, you can reduce the amount of access that they have through your data. And so there's always a certain amount of give and take between you and the third party in these types of situations. If there was a network type issue, for example, they can either further secure their side of the coin, or you can segment them from your network. Things to that effect. If they don't do background checks, you can either require that they do so or remove their people from your building. And so there's always two different ways that you can apply a mitigation or a remediation. And so you have to explore your options, but that's essentially the next steps.
To learn more or request a demo, visit cybergrx.com.